folks from Nottoway County and beyond. This is Billy Colburn, editor of the Courier-Record. This is interview number 2 of our election coverage. This is Daphne Norton. She is one of 3 persons running for the District 3 seat on the Nottoway County Board of Supervisors. This is paid. The interview time has been paid for by the candidate, by Ms. Norton. And so we're going to sit down and ask Ms. Norton a few questions and have just an easygoing conversation about the campaign, and no topics or questions were given in advance. And here we go. Daphne Norton, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, and it is Wednesday afternoon. Just in case for context, it is Wednesday afternoon, August 16th at 4:30 in the afternoon, just because maybe things can change. So I want to make sure everybody knows when this interview took place. What is wrong, if anything, with Nottoway County government today?
I don't want to point fingers and say something is wrong. It just, some things need fixing. We need to be more proactive than reactive. It concerns me of the changeover at the courthouse, but we can always get good people in place. But I think the problem now is the board has a great deal of decisions to make. There are a laundry list of projects everybody's aware of, millions of dollars at stake. And it seems like the only way they want to pay for it is on the back of the taxpayers, because that's really our revenue source. What's wrong is then, I think since we've had some new leadership changes, there is a turn in the right direction, but we need more focus and less backbiting and just more concentration on the issues and paying more attention to even basic things. There's a lot of things that were not done in the past, and we can't look in the past because there were good people that served on the board. One of my favorites was Sidney Locke. He was like a father to me. They made decisions based on what they were taught. And now we're in an age of technology that we have got to get up to speed. We got to resource out. We've got to get revenue sources other than taxpayer dollars. Grant funding. We've got to get some people in place that can allow us to grow and prosper using technology.
One thing, obviously you ran a very spirited race in 2019, came up just barely short, 11 votes short. And I remember you went public after the election a few months later and said, hey, I'm going back into private life, and I feel like I've raised some issues, and good luck to everybody. You've re-entered, you stepped back on the stage now. What caused you to do that? What caused Daphne Norton to basically have a complete change of position on whether or not to be involved or not?
Well, during that time, my mom was sick, and you know from taking care of your parents. And she recently passed back in November. So I refocused, and I know she would be proud of my dad too. I've always been taught by my family to make a difference. My faith, and big member of Burkeville Baptist Church, to go out and do for your community and make a difference. And I think with my cumulative experience, I've got over almost 18 years of state experience. I'm an accountant, also in a business. That's opened me to a large network of people. And I just want to make a difference. I see things, and I have no disrespect to anybody that sat on that board, because they did the best they could with what they knew how, their resources. Right. But I think we've come to a time we need a new approach. And I think being a hometown girl, I chose to stay here. I could have gone away. I did go to college, but I did take my
Let's talk about that. You're a Nottoway County native. Yes. What year did you graduate Nottoway High School?
1981.
And then
just went to the class reunion that Miss Simmons hosted. It was a great event. Got to see a lot of people. And it's great to see people that, one thing I found in common, they moved away and now they're coming back.
They want to come home.
And so we've got a new resource to tap into that the board could pick them for committees. I mean, these people have worked in DC and all over the country.
Right.
So we're at a point now that we can make some serious changes. And my children live here, and my grandchildren, all but one, and they choose to make a difference in this area. And I think, and I've told you before, that because of my faith, I believe that those who are given much should give back. So
You've been there's no secret you and your husband Glenn have done numerous fundraisers when people have been down. You mentioned your business, Memory Movers,
yeah.
which has really taken off.
We offer a service nobody else does.
And you currently are working at Fort Pickett?
Yes, I'm a budget analyst accountant. I
budget?
deal with large money, and that's what I think another asset would be for me with the board. We don't have anyone with a strong background in budget. And that, Lord knows, we need right now with all these heavy laden projects.
Right.
I've been been watching the work sessions, going to the meetings, educating myself, and you have to do that. That concerns me on some of, not just District 3, but all the board seats. Some of the folks that are running aren't even at meetings, and you've got to educate yourself.
The numbers make it up. Numbers are boring, but the numbers make everything possible for services.
And you speak of boring, that's what I hope to make when I get back on the board, that we can make some concrete decisions, get in a new directions, and the board meetings will be boring. Sorry, you won't sell a lot
that's
of
fine.
papers.
Trust me, I've been begging for boredom. I'm ready for some boredom. Well, let's hit some projects here. You mentioned revenue and everything. What is Daphne Norton's position on industrial solar farms? That is a hot button issue for a lot of folks.
Very hot button, and I actually have signs at my house that say no to industrial solar. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I feel like if you want to put them on your house, that's fine. But this is an agricultural area. And I've been to several of the meetings about solar, and they cannot satisfy my questions as to the environmental impact, what they're going to do with the panels, what kind of chemicals do the panels put into the earth. I know if they do lots of land, say hundreds of acres, they strip all the topsoil off. So you've got to look at the topography and all that. It's just not enough information. And in the cost savings, I think too, a lot of the people that own the property, they're the ones in it for the money.
Sure.
And it's nothing wrong with it. If down the road, like I say, if you want to put it on your house, that's fine. Maybe it's so new, they can't satisfy all our questions. But right now, if we want to maintain that rural agricultural, I just don't want to see us looking like down the road, Chase City. If you go to Clarksville, that area, they have fields and fields, and they look horrible.
And I've heard that Mecklenburg, I haven't confirmed this, but I've heard Mecklenburg is now banned. They're saying no more solar. And a lot of counties.
You look at those that have made the decision to go forward, now they're backing up on it.
I've noticed that.
So I think we need to get more education about it before. And it's not to say I couldn't change my mind.
Right.
But I just don't think we're ready for that.
The animal shelter, we've been talking about it. It'll be 5 years come December. Yes. There's not a brick in the ground. Yes. What is Daphne Norton's position on A, building a new shelter, and B, what kind of shelter should it be? Should it be top of the line, or should there be more, maybe some things eliminated? What's your take on that?
Before I answer, I love animals, but we cannot keep every animal, and our animal shelter is just overflowing. But we are not meeting the mandated codes and requirements. We've been written up, we've been fined. Right. So we have to take an approach to repair that. So going down the road, we don't incur more costs. We have to have a facility that's capable to meet the state veterinarian office mandates. But I also don't think we need the top of the line. We could tone it down a bit. And with escalating building cost, we've got to take a greater look. I mean, you know, as I do, that we had a hard time getting it bid. People don't want to touch it.
Right now, it's tough. It's tough.
And so, but I do know that we need it.
Right.
But we need to look at it in a different way. And I commend Jack Boswell and his group with the CARES group. They've raised a lot of money.
Volunteers.
I mean, that's a key, because years ago I worked at Hampton-Sydney College in institutional advancement. We raised big money. And for them in this small community to raise that kind of money, that's a great feat.
Very good.
But we've got to look a little harder at the aesthetics, and two, when I mentioned we can't keep them all, we're a no-kill shelter. We've become that.
Right.
And I hate to see an animal killed, but a lot of people don't even know that we adopt. Right. So I think in the location it's going to be that they've chosen, it would be good for marketing to let people know in surrounding counties that we adopt animals, and that would make the flow out. But right now, with the space that's been designed for, we aren't even going to be able to hold what we need to hold.
Yeah, I think I've heard we're going to go from 10 kennels to 25, and when you think about the only bid was what, $5 million basically, 4.9. It's hopefully those prices will come down.
And with that cost too, it bothers me that we don't even have adequate daycare in our county, and we don't have care of our elderly. We're just starting. I talked to Councilwoman Payne today about Madeline's house. We're just starting on that again. We need to take care of people. I know we love our animals, but we need to take care of our people. Are we going to spend $2-3 million to do a Madeline's house, to do a senior care adult center,
Right.
to do a daycare center?
There are a lot of seniors that live by themselves, and,
Yes.
and that's a great point. Well, let me ask you this: if you are elected, there's no secret. If you win your election, there'll be 3 out of 5 new members, because Ms. Shecklins is not running, Mr. Vaughn's not running, so we're gonna have new supervisors there. Supervisor Ingram, even though he's a lifelong Nottoway County resident, he's more or less a freshman supervisor. How do you plan to govern if you take office with basically a majority of newbies? How do you plan to govern, and what will be your style?
I think education is the key. I don't claim to be a subject matter expert, but I've been going to meetings like this for 25 years.
You have?
I've worked in areas of my career that we follow Robert's Rules of Order. And I know the new wave thing, that's, not the cool thing to do, but it's the rule. We are governed and operated under the Code of Virginia. The Code of Virginia is the Code of Virginia. The rules say what they say. It is what it is. Just like when it comes to money and everything. And the elephant in the room here is I'm running in a minority district.
We're going to get to that.
We are all God's people, and we all believe red. And dollars are green. They're not color or politics. And I'm going through this with no political aspirations, no end game, no hidden agenda.
This is no stepping stone.
I have no desire to go to any level higher. I just want to make a difference, as corny as that may sound.
No.
But I just want to make a difference here while I can. I'm 60 years old. My window's getting smaller. I don't feel like I'm old, but
Right.
my
Well, let me
window's
ask you,
getting
this
smaller.
one of the things that you and others, including Supervisor Rourke, before he won election, you were very outspoken and very much out front on emergency operations and how this county was behind as far as emergency planning, and then the ice storm happened. How would you say Nottoway County has progressed since then? Do you feel like the county has made some positive strides in emergency services?
Very positive strides.
Planning, disaster planning.
I think hiring Buddy Hyde was a great move for the county, that he has helped us because of his experience, because of his subject matter expertise, that he's helped us take great strides forward. Are we there yet? Probably not. God help us if we have another one, but it's hurricane season, who knows?
Right.
But how many years did I sit up there and preach
You
that
did.
we needed that, and what happened when we had the big ice storm?
Yeah.
But kudos to John too. John and I, everybody knows we're friends, but John has a different leadership style. Okay, sometimes he needs to harness what he says, but he's passionate and he cares, and everybody on that board, they do care. But I think it's a time with all these newbies, as you call it, for us to get the basics covered. I'm astounded at some of the basic things that are not happening at the courthouse.
Right.
Again, nobody's fault. Well, we need to address that. Don't look back and move forward together, educating ourselves, and each one of us bring to the table an expertise that we can build on. And 2, we got to stay in our lane. The board, everything we do is covered by the Code of Virginia. We don't need to cross lanes over to the constitutional officers. They need to run their shop and let them run their shop.
That's right.
We don't need to be going over to the school board and getting in their business. That's my feeling, unless it's something that directly relates. I mean,
You just appropriate the money. The supervisors appropriate the
appropriate
money.
the money, and we make sure that they spend it correctly. We meet audit principles, and there it is. There are other issues that come up, but we need to work together, and we need to stay in our boundaries.
Very good. Well, that brings up a very important question. In your opinion, are public schools sufficiently funded in Nottoway County today?
Like I said, all my children have gone to Nottoway Public Schools. I went to Glen too. Every year it's different. The state, and people don't realize this, that the state and federal government mandate education and what is spent and what has to be done. But our budget can only generate so much money, and 3/4 of that budget goes to the school system. Other than raising taxes, I don't see how we can continue to put out more money when the student population is drawing. I noticed today when I was out looking at all the little school pictures, everybody's going back to school. A lot are leaving our system and going to private schools, and for whatever reasons it may be. So if we're losing attendance, why are we continuing to spend more money? Are we adequately funded? I really can't appropriately answer that because I don't know the need there. But I know we are producing wonderful students. We have a lot of students. I mean, look at the Pettis boys and all the
Danny
folks.
Martin's going to UVA.
Yes, we have wonderful students, and the teachers do the best they can. It's not just here; it's everywhere. You couldn't pay me to be a teacher, but you still have some that love it so much.
God bless them. God bless them. Is it, as far as any, you mentioned Supervisor Rourke, who's been made a lot of news in his 3.5 years on the board. Is anyone that you'd like to give props to? You said you didn't want to take any, point any fingers at anybody. Is anybody you'd like to give props to for making some of the changes? And let's face it, without being specific, you and I both know our county could be on the verge of another change shortly. At least it looks like the Board of Supervisors and the county administrator are at some sort of disagreement or something. If you were on the board, you one of your first assignments could be to help hire another administrator. What skill sets do you bring to the table to help recruit? And
I've worked in HR and payroll for years.
Human resource.
So human resource, you have rules. There you are. Again, there are rules and mandates. I think one thing Nottoway lacks is specific job descriptions and a breakdown of what every job is in the county and what is expected. We need to work on that.
Yeah.
But as far as selection, we've got to be careful. We can't expect someone coming from a city to come here and be able to run. Yes, he may have the technical expertise, but he or she is not going to know this area. I know the days of the good old boys is gone,
right.
but you've got to get a mix, a happy medium of someone that knows the area, knows the people, so to speak, or that type of people.
The lay of the land.
The lay of the land and what the expectation is. They can't come in here and expect to change things overnight. Right. And two, we can't have someone that has been in a position for 25 years and expect a new person to come in and be able to do your job perfectly. Because these roles, the expectation, the goals, the rules and regulations are all so far reaching. I mean, you've got state and federal and local and all that. You can't expect someone to come in here and know the job. Prime example, Rodney up at the registrar's office. He's come in, he has been nothing but helpful to me. And you can't expect him to come in here and know everything. Right. Following the heels of somebody that has.
Right.
So we've got to be more flexible. But as far as changes, people come and people go. So we've got to put a system and process in place to be able to expect that. Right. The days, and I read something not long ago, of people staying in a career for 25 and 30 years at the same place are gone. Yeah. But you also have to allow them to train. And I know that's lacking at the courthouse. We need to offer the people that are there training. Example, treasurer's office. I had the pleasure of working with Miss Rayford at Fort Barfoot, and she's an exceptional, very smart lady. But she needs the training tools to be able to do her job. And when she can get that, which is peanuts compared to the money we want to spend on the animal shelter and all that, that if we train them, then she and Christy Hudson at the commissioner's office can work better together. I know Christy well. She's trying the best she can. Talk to her today. It's just, we've got to start working more together, but offering training to stay up to speed. We can't keep falling behind.
And the state training through different organizations is, like you say, it's very, very affordable. And it's hard to believe, but tax bills typically are mailed out in 2 months from now. So our new treasurer definitely has her hands full.
Yes.
Water line. Prince Edward County was trying to put a water line into our county to serve the facilities at Brookville, which of course are Crew's top customers. And then there was an opportunity, discussions with Blackstone. Where do you stand on the water issue? You're well familiar with the history of it. Do you have an opinion? Do you want more information?
We've been fighting over water since my husband was on Crewtown Council. So it's To me, and I know people disagree with me, but I think it's insane to outsource our water to another county when we have our own reservoir here. What are the logistics? I'm not sure of everything. I know there's got to be environmental impact studies, there's got to be pipe laid, there's a cost.
Right.
But keep it here if we have the capability to produce the per hour need,
Right.
and we do. Why send it to Farmville and be at their mercy?
Right.
I have family, I have friends that live in Rensselaer County, but too, they have the same issues. I happened to watch one of their board meetings the other night. And
I watched part. Yeah, I felt good about Nottoway government. I was watching one of theirs.
Not bad. But everybody's having issues right now. Everybody. And we've got to stop this hate and this anger and this infighting. And I think as far as District 3, I want to be proactive and speak out. That hadn't been done before, to communicate with the constituents. And it isn't just voters, it's everybody that lives in District 3. And ultimately, all 5 of the board members have to work together. So when you put on that board, you don't just represent District 3 or District 1 or whatever. You represent everybody.
It's a small county. I mean, even though, like I said, you come from a district, but you make decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I laugh at the tradition where, like, well, if it's in so-and-so's district, they have to make the motion. I think that's sort of antiquated. I mean, it's a small county. If you believe in something that's maybe in District 2,
Right.
you should be able to make the motion, and District 2 shouldn't be offended. Now, you're running as an independent, and probably, I would say, you know, you and I are around the same age. It seems like partisan politics, D's and R's, have gotten to be more acrimonious, and I never thought I'd cover electoral board meetings for the last 2 years. What do you tell people in both camps, Republicans, Democrats, Independents? What's your message to them? You know, are you truly an independent?
Yes, I am. I don't believe at the local level we need this infighting of Democrat, Republican. We are all under the rules. This job, it's a job, it's a function. It's stipulated by the rules in a code. The codes aren't Republican, the codes aren't Democrat. It is what it is. An auditor isn't going to come in and say, hey, are you Democrat or are you Republican? They don't care. We don't need that at this level. And pulling in national politics to a board meeting at this level is ridiculous.
And we've seen at the school board level too.
Yes.
You know, it seems like the culture wars that have been going on maybe in Loudoun County, it seems like you said, every county's kind of going through that, you know, culture war or D versus R, and you'd like to see that come to an end. So
Yes,
that's your message.
I would. Maybe I'm looking at it and I'm living a pipe dream, but we all should love one another and care about our community, just like you do. You were mayor a long time.
Yeah.
During the ice storm, I gave you kudos. You maintained transparency and openness that made us all feel safe. We were scared to death during that time. A lot of people, the elderly and all that. And you kept us going by your reports.
Well, I appreciate that.
The board didn't, they read things, but they didn't from their heart. Now, John, he got out there and he got in trouble. But, you know, when something disaster comes like that, you've got to be transparent. And I want to be transparent to the people of District 3. And they're not my people. I don't own them. They're the constituents. They're the residents. Some of them are my family. Some of them are my friends. I've lived here all my life. I just about know everybody because of the positions I've had. So
you've been on the plan. You've been on the county planning commission, and
yes.
Have you ever had, Glenn's held elected office, you have not though, but you,
No,
right.
I just was on the planning commission when they devised the last
Comprehensive plan.
That's why I got up at the last meeting and said the Code of Virginia stipulates 5 to 6 years. How did you go 16 years and not develop a comprehensive plan that gave us no direction and no mission?
Correct. Switching gears a little bit and just checking our time here. We've got a good 7 minutes left. How safe or unsafe is Nottoway's day, and what steps would you as a supervisor try to make it safer?
I do think we are like all other parts of the state and around the country. We have a serious drug problem. And if we don't have leadership in that role, Robert's a good man. I know Tony's running, he's a good man. Being a good man doesn't take care of the problem. We have I know I've had that problem in our area on Nottoway Road. They're out at Cellar Creek, all the meth, it's increased greatly. The crime is increasing. The gentleman that bought my mom's house, he hadn't completely moved out, and a couple of weeks ago, he lived on Olive Avenue in Crewe. He had over $20,000 worth of items stolen out of his house. It's here. We can't keep a blind eye, yes. And nobody said a word.
Wow.
And we have one house in our area and several that we call the Narcan house because it's a continual every other week basis.
And I hear the calls in the scanner where they have an OD, and then all of a sudden the dispatcher will say, caller has administered Narcan. I'm like, that means someone's got Narcan in their house. That means they know they've got a drug issue. And yeah, that is happening.
And I believe, it's very important. That's another project, the radio communication for emergency services. It's a big ticket item.
$7.2 million.
Grants available. But with the expansive increase, the reevaluations are going on right now, and they are crazy. Trust me, they're more than 30% increase. With the money that we're going to generate from that, we will be able to carry out these projects, but not at the expense of the taxpayers. I would suggest we bump back the tax rate a couple of cents, because for every penny, I think it generates $100,000.
That's right.
We can't do this to our citizens, especially senior citizens. I have a family member that came to me the other day, and their land value went from $20,000 to $67,000. The
reassessment that's ongoing now. The quiet tax increase is coming that not many people are paying attention to.
And I know this isn't Christie or the commissioner's fault.
No.
It's the company that's doing this and the criteria and the basis they use.
Right.
But my concern too is the Tyson farmers, the farmers out there that have lost their livelihood, and they're getting reevaluated. I have a family member that has $4 million worth of chicken houses. What's it going to go up to?
And not worth a penny without chickens in them. They're not worth anything.
And that's why I did call Christy today and reach out, and she is willing to meet with the farmers if a group of them would come to her, because it's under her discretion. The board doesn't have to approve it.
Right.
She could give them a break on their property this year until something transpires, and I know the board is working on something for the farmers here.
Right.
I hope that develops into something that create jobs. But again, it's all based on dollars.
What's the best thing about living in Nottoway County today? What's the best thing about living here?
We talked about safety, but we are safe. All of our neighbors watch out for each other, especially in the country, but even in town, your neighbors watch out for each other. They'll talk about you like a dog, but when your house burns down, all of them are there and they want to help you. When something happens and somebody in your family has cancer, and they all flew and pray for you, and it's what we chose to make it. Our pastor was talking about not long ago, life is choices. And my Aunt Betty always said, don't let it make you bitter, let it make you better. And the difference is that.
That's pretty good. That's an outstanding quote. I remember, I believe she played golf, didn't she? I remember meeting her several times.
I'll leave you with one other quote.
All right.
Because everybody knows I can be feisty, like my little mama that her birthday would be Saturday. My quote I live by, and it's in my office, is by Harry Truman. It says, I didn't give anybody hell. I just told the truth, and they thought it was hell.
Well, let's see here. That is, we got 2 minutes left. Let me ask conversely, what's the most challenging thing about living in a rural county like Nottoway, if there is anything challenging?
I think attracting new industry and business because of our workforce here. But it makes me really angry when people say they aren't up to speed, that they're untrainable. That's not true.
Right.
There's many companies that can come in here and bring in their own training. The people here they want to stay here, but we need jobs to keep them here. And that is a challenge, maintaining and to paying for all the projects. And it's not just us, it's everybody.
We've kind of, the county administrator who we have now, Ted Costin, came in with a lot of things to do, but a thick bank account. But all of a sudden, you and I both have watched the list of things that are needing to be done, and all of a sudden it's like, where's that $25 million going?
But Matt, let me ask you though, before they touted we had all this money in reserve, to what expense? You're seeing the expense now because everything went downhill and declined, and now we got to fix it.
You need to have a steady program in place.
And we have to have, it's mandated, we have to hold a certain amount of money in our reserves, but to what expense?
I'll just leave you with this. You've been talking to people. Well, what's a message that the people are telling you about Nottoway County today? And is there anything on the campaign trail you've heard that's kind of irked you that you'd like to clarify, just in general, the campaign, the message you're hearing, anything you'd like to address as we close here?
Elephant in the room is my district. It's about race. The issues are the issues. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. We all need to work together. And I am not in any form a racist. I've heard that lately. My grandchildren are from they have Taiwanese descent. That burns me up. I love everybody. I've got a lot of friends all over the place. This job, this task, if I win, there is no color to me. It's right and wrong. It's the money. It's the job I'm stayed with. And I want to work with everybody on the board to move us in a new direction.
Well, fantastic. Daphne, we've enjoyed this. This is Daphne Norton. She is one of 3 persons running on the ballot November 7th in District 3 for the Board of Supervisors. Early voting starts September 22nd. That's just about 6 weeks away. So get familiar with all the candidates. We'll have some more interviews. And Daphne, thank you so much, and best of luck to you. And we're signing off here.